Hi everyone, so let's now take a look at Pre-U Economics Paper 1. This is a tough exam, we know that, but you guys are more than up for it. I've got a lot of faith in my students. They're absolutely going to crush this paper, I know it. Okay, so let's take a look at the structure. So as we know, we've got Section A, the multiple choice, Section B, the knowledge-based questions, and Section C. Now, you must answer all questions, of course, because the other papers allow choice from the Pre-U Economics, so make sure you answer all of those questions, but you know this anyway. So when it comes to the multiple choice questions, make sure that you've practiced thoroughly, of course, that you've gone through past papers numerous times, that you've even tested yourselves on the same papers again and again, and use a study buddy. If you can find someone in the group that is better than you at the multiple choice and is scoring that bit higher, then work with them and get them to teach you the answers to the ones that you're not so sure about. That will benefit both of you, okay? So I really suggest you do that. When it comes to actually tackling this, you've got to manage your time well throughout this paper. So you can see the actual breakdown here. We've got 2.5 hours, okay? 60 minutes available for that Section A. So you need to work fast through there. Look for any distractors in the question. See if you can narrow any of them down where you're not sure of the answer, so that you've got at least a 50-50 chance of getting the answer right. Okay, but yeah, you've just got to try your best on that, and lots of practice will improve that score, as we know. Okay, the last thing to say about this Section A really is that it's up to you in what way you actually tackle this paper. You may choose to leave Section A to the actual end of the paper to ensure that you give yourself enough time on those 10-mark questions in Section C. Okay, so it's entirely up to you how you choose to actually tackle the paper. You don't necessarily need to do this bit first, and there is some advantage there in doing this area last, because it does help to ensure that you don't spend too much time on it. All right, and that can be the downfall of some students. Okay, and from an examiner's perspective, well, what a great way to actually determine between different candidates. Those candidates that manage the time better in the exam against those that don't, and therefore those that don't have enough time for those 10-mark questions on D and E. Okay, in Section C. Right, anyway, Section B, knowledge-based questions. Make sure you go through your learning checklists. I don't think these are going to pose any real problems for you guys at all. I think that's going to be absolutely fine. Section C, the data response. Okay, what I really suggest you do throughout this area is that you use that SQ3R approach, okay? Firstly, you skim across the case study. You skim across it, just get a feel for what it's about, look at the subheadings, look at any tables that you've got information on or graphs that are included there, and then look at the questions, okay? Pick out those questions, the Q part here, and then read through the actual paper. As you're reading through the paper, note down any line numbers that are relevant to different questions, okay? So just note them down on the exam paper, line 30, this was said, which relates to question D perhaps, okay? Something like that. Referring to the line will help you to come back to those points very, very quickly. And then when you're actually answering those questions in turn, well, you want to make sure that you review. So read, write, and then review the actual case study material to make sure that you've pulled out all of the applicable and most applicable points that you really want to utilise in your answers there. Okay, now these 10-mark questions, we've got 4 marks here for analysis, 6 marks for evaluation. Okay, because of the depth of evaluation that's required, you need to make sure that you use this aim judgment. You've got to answer the question and justify your answer. You've got to think about any it depends upon factors, okay? Think about those chase elements, where we've got another video on the evaluative points you can bring out. And what's the most important consideration overall? So if it's about a policy intervention being introduced, what's the most important consideration when it comes to that given policy? So make those good, strong judgments, okay? Focus on those chase elements, and that will really serve you well in generating 6 marks there. Okay, now remember question E is the most open-ended question by a long way. And we'll often encourage you to actually focus on both micro and macro related issues, okay? So just bear that in mind with regard to question E, that you want to go above and beyond the actual case study information that's included, okay? And really show the depth of your analytical mind, okay? You guys are going to do great. All right, thanks ever so much. See you next time.